If you look at the American economy today, the distance between the top and the bottom doesn't look like a ladder anymore. It's a vertical climb, and the summit is moving further out of reach every year. The standard explanation for this gap usually splits into two camps. The first attributes everything to individual grit, the idea that the wealthy work harder and smarter, while those at the bottom simply haven't put in the effort. The second camp sees a system rigged by design, where billionaires act as villains, hoarding wealth through direct exploitation of the working class. Both perspectives provide an emotional outlet, but they overlook the cold mechanics of how money actually moves. The wealth gap is the result of an economy running on two entirely separate sets of rules, one for those who trade their time for a paycheck, and one for those who own the machines of production. Most Americans live under the first rulebook, earning money through labor. But there is a hard biological ceiling on this method. No matter how high your hourly rate, you eventually run out of hours in a day. Wealthy households bypass this limit by prioritizing assets, stocks, real estate, businesses. Here, the linear line is labor. The exponential curve is money working. Ownership decouples income from time. As assets generate value, net worth increases while they sleep. Market momentum does the heavy lifting. The tax code further separates these two worlds. In the U.S., capital gains, the profit made from selling assets, are generally taxed at a lower rate than the W-2 wages earned through physical or mental effort. This creates a compounding tailwind. When you own the engine of the economy, your wealth grows generationally, often before you log a single hour of traditional work. For the bottom 20%, the math works in the opposite direction. At this level, the primary obstacle isn't a lack of ambition, it's the fact that in America, poverty is expensive. Without a cash buffer, a $1,000 repair can force a worker into a high-interest payday loan. This creates a debt cycle that drains a family's income. Zooming out, middle-tier wages have stagnated for decades, while housing, healthcare, and education costs have skyrocketed. When survival requires 100% of your income, your investment rate stays at zero. You cannot buy the assets that create wealth, because every dollar is already claimed by basic necessity. The labor rulebook forces millions into a permanent defensive crouch. They aren't playing to win, they're playing not to lose, facing a systemic headwind that penalizes them for having no margin for error. This polarization is a relatively modern phenomenon. In the mid-20th century, the American economy was built on a different valuation of physical work. In the manufacturing era, a union job provided enough value to secure a home, pension, and stable future with only a high school education. That changed as the U.S. transitioned into a knowledge-based economy. Today, the market places its highest rewards on specialized skills, tech literacy, and advanced degrees. Automation and globalization removed the entry-level roles that once served as the first step of the ladder. When a machine can perform the task of an unspecialized worker, the market value of that labor drops toward zero. The modern economy simply doesn't reward raw physical labor the way it did 50 years ago. For those without specialized capital or education, the structural currents of the market are now flowing in the wrong direction. We are left with a split reality, an economy that provides infinite rewards for those who own assets, while systematically draining those who rely on labor alone. Because this divide is rooted in the math of compounding interest and rising survival costs, telling people to work harder is a solution that ignores the mechanics of the game. Recognizing these structural barriers is the prerequisite for any honest discussion about reform. It moves the conversation away from moral judgment and toward economic reality. Progress requires a shift in how we distribute opportunity. It means finding ways to move more Americans out of the scarcity trap and giving them a direct stake in the ownership of the country.